Welcome to this special 4-part mini-series celebrating the Novus Book Launch, Nutrition and Production Strategies for Today's Sows. This series features exclusive conversations recorded live in Omaha, Nebraska, highlighting the expert behind Novus's newest industry resource. Building on the foundation of nutrition of hyperliphic sows, this new volume continues Novus's international commitment to advancing education, science, and collaboration in animal nutrition. Each episode explores a key topic sharing the future of sow production, from nutrition and reproduction to longevity, livability, and health. Across these interviews, you will hear from respected global leaders who have dedicated their careers to helping producers and nutritionists raise healthier, more resilient sows. Let's begin this journey of innovation, insight, and impact together.
In my case, 40 years, 4 decades, the acceptable mortality levels in our companies in Spain, in Europe, in the United States, in Latin America, we work with a maximum of 3% mortality. This mortality increased up to 5%, 6% at the beginning of the year 2000 to 2005. In the last 20 years, it has doubled. We have gone from 6%, 5%, 7% in Brazil, United States, Canada, Spain, all of Europe. We have gone from 12% to 14% on average, with data that can reach out until 16, 18% in some countries. In other cases, going down from 10% today. We have very few farms with less than 10%, but we have a genetic in Spain, for example, the Iberian, a more recent genetic, produces a little less, but it also has grown a lot in its production in recent years. It has grown the same 2% more piglets each year, and its mortality is still 2.5 or 3%. So this makes us think that metabolically, we have very different animals, and the mortality in farms is not so much an infectious problem, because the average is the same in a country with pairs than without pairs. In Brazil or in Australia, there are free of pairs, and the mortality is the same. There they have other conditions that also affects the sow a lot, because pigs thermoregulate very badly. Their thermoregulation capacity is very weak. So that is one of the first causes. The second, we have made animals that grow faster, that have more muscle and have less fat. The opposite of the Iberian, in such a way that have more muscle, also the metabolic effort is superior. They produce more endogenous heat, and at the same time they oxidize more easily because they have more fibers, white than red muscles. We also know that these cells have worse capacity to respond to stress. They have more pro-inflammatory processes, they have more hepatic problems. So we have an equation, a process that is multifactorial, but we have the nutritional factor of handling prime the nutritional factors infectious. Because the infectious factor that causes mortality, except the serious case of PRRS, focus, a serious case of PRRS with a high virulence strain can lead to high mortality, but in a short period of time. So in the end, the average of a whole year is not very different from not having it. So infectious processes are secondary. They are very important, but not more than in 1 every 3 sows. Sows die from infectious processes. 2 in every 3 sows, and if we eliminate 2 out of 3, we will be at 5% or less than 5%. It will be difficult because the metabolic effort is much higher. The lactation has been extended. This means that metabolically, we have different animals. We started with 114 days of gestation, and we're already at 117. We have longer farrowing duration. The metabolic effort required of the sows is also greater. And it's no coincidence that the majority of sows, 75%, die 2 or 3 weeks before or after farrowing. This is precisely when they have the most metabolic difficulty maintaining homeostasis. In terms of nutrition, we had to treat it in a global way. For many years, we have worked in the nutrition of sows, no less than we have worked in the nutrition of piglets or in the nutrition of farrowing. Much less in recent years, a lot has been done to make a more precise diet for the new requirement of pigs that produce a lot of more piglets, but most of the focus has been on macronutrition, protein, amino acids, essential amino acids, fiber. Most of the work has to do with fiber, the energy, the calcium, this phosphorus, derived from the reduction of phosphorus adjusted the diet with phytase, which is very good. But we have forgotten the elemental. We had to go back to the basics. We had to go back to the elemental, the micronutrients, because like people, we are fed, and in civilized countries, we have more food than we need. We already have enough protein. We already have enough fiber. We already have enough energy. But what about the vitamins and minerals? What about zinc, copper, manganese, magnesium, iron? We have piglets deficient in iron. We have piglets deficient in magnesium. And we have a deficiency of vitamin B12 also in people. We have to check this. We have deficiency in vitamin D also in people. We are very well fed, but it turns out that we have a deficiency in vitamin D, in B12, in magnesium. I think we also have them in sows. And what we're going to present is, in the chapter that we write, we reflect on this point. We're in the amount of feed that they are eating our sows in quantity, because the quantity is more or less the same. But shouldn't we implement a quality work more in micronutrients? Of course, vitamins, minerals, and other additives that are going to influence all of them. Minerals like that, magnesium influences the nervous system. It influences the development of the immune system. It influences the oxidative processes. These are just the problems we have. All of the micronutrients do not produce endogenous heat. Their metabolism does not generate a metabolic effort, at least if they are available and if they are organic. But what about protein? Protein produces a lot of endogenous heat, fiber. The second nutrient that produces the most endogenous heat is fiber, not the fat, the fiber, not the carbohydrates, the fiber. The fiber is more important, very important, but we have to take into account those balances and those difficulties that our cells have today. Larger oxidative process. They stress more easily. Their immune response capacity is lower. They grow very fast. They're cartilaginous. The pig is the animal that taken the longest to develop the cartilage of the domestic animals. The process of trochondrosis. And the minerals also influence. Of course, zinc influences a lot, vitamin D. Therefore, from the point of view of nutrition, I think we have to make an approach global and precise of all, because obviously without a single micronutrient, we are not going to succeed, but we have to work on micronutrition in the coming years without, of course, neglecting the rest. Thank you.